probably a lot of you viewers, driving is therapy. Getting out in your car, experiencing the sights, the sounds, feeling the speed, feeling acceleration, operating a machine that you can always improve using like it's a musical instrument is the thing that helps me focus and figure things out and calm down. I also run and cycle and lift, but I'm telling you, driving has a very similar effect as long as I'm not commuting in traffic. So today we're doing a therapy drive. We just drove a beautiful example of one of these 993 Carrera S's the other day. In fact, that car was 4,500 miles, probably as pristine as it gets. If you're looking for the ultimate example in the world, that's probably the car, and it's going to sell for, I don't know, $400,000. This one is a 1997. It's got 116,000 kilometers on it because it's a Canadian market car, and it probably represents one of the best driver quality 993 Carrera S's I've ever seen. It's perfect. It looks gorgeous. It's got the sports seats, but the Carrera S has always really been my 911 because this is the car that I had a model of as a kid, albeit it was a convertible. There's a hawk sitting up there chasing down some birds. He's getting his therapy. He's just going to go eat. But this wide body Carrera S, naturally aspirated 3.6 liter rear engine with 282 horsepower, a 6-speed manual transmission. This is what makes me happy to drive. And one of the fun things about this car is it can be a daily driver. Unfortunately, things are getting very expensive. So today I want to talk about how to be a car enthusiast in the summer of 2026. We're not going to get political, but objectively, we're at a war with Iran. Everything is expensive. Gas is crazy. I'm paying $5.50 a gallon for premium here in Massachusetts, and I know that's not even close to the worst of it. If you go out to the West Coast, it gets into the 6s and 7s, and it's not pretty. So how are you supposed to enjoy yourself? Today, let's go talk about the state of things as where we stand, and the state of things is where we're going, because car makers, boy, they're in a bit of trouble. Oh, this chime haunts my dreams. You hear that? I'm just going to pull that out a little bit because I can't listen to it. So here's the thing. How are we supposed to have any fun when it is too expensive to drive our cars? And automakers are making insane choices. They all put a little too many eggs into the EV basket. I know that a lot of people like to have an I told you so mentality when it comes to General Motors or Ford or Honda, who have all now lost billions with a B of dollars. Honda just posted their first loss like ever, and it's I think 2.7 billion, and everyone else is not far behind, if not farther ahead. I think GM was like double-digit billions. Mercedes-AMG has just released the other day a all-electric AMG GT 4-door with, 1,200 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, but a very interesting design, let's say. The nose looks like it is designed to tackle the Chinese market, which is fine if that's the market they're tackling, but it's very difficult to kind of get behind that fishy look in the front. The rear had promise, but I just think it needs to be shrunk down a little bit. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because it is a bummer that it feels like we've already surpassed peak automotive design. And I'm not trying to be gloom and doom here. I'm just trying to say, like, maybe a mild return to form. Something like this. It's simple, it's elegant, it's voluptuous, but it's not over the top. It has headlights, it has taillights. It doesn't have many fake vents and goofy things to try to make it look a little more set apart. It's form meets function. And that's what I would really love for automakers to go back to. That does exist in some places, but it's getting more and more rare. In fact, even to see an exhaust pipe, even to see a tailpipe that is actually connected all the way through to an exhaust manifold to the engine is becoming rare. Most of the time, what you're seeing down here is some facade that actually has a gap in it just to make you believe you have the illusion of an exhaust pipe, not to mention the speakers that I feel are a little insulting. When Dodge did the speakers on their Charger EV, I just felt lied to. I don't need to be pandered to. I don't need fake V8 sounds. And I thought we had done away with that. And oh, there goes our friend. Whoa. Okay. I thought we had done away with that because even Dodge was like, all right, we got to put an inline 6 Hurricane in this thing. And they did. And now we have an ICE-powered Charger. Whether you like it or not, they did it. It's great. Then AMG comes out and plays all the same tricks with this fake V8 noise. And I don't want the fake V8 noise. I don't want a tachometer in my EV. Look, I'm not anti-EV. I just think that cars should be treated as they are. And I don't want to be lied to when I'm driving the car. And this right here, this air-cooled 911 is just one of the most rarefied air in today's world because it is so damn honest. This car, the 993, is a years-long evolution of G model to 964 to 993. They are all the same size. They have the same dimensions, essentially. Even the dashboards, man, they didn't have to go and revolutionize this dashboard. They just changed a little bit of the font and how they oriented things, but it's still a 5-gauge cluster that carried on even to today in the screen of the 992.2, despite my not loving that so much. That still carries this legacy, and it's wonderful. But what I'm confused about is why automakers watching the used market, trust me, we're going to get to driving soon, why automakers have been watching the used market. They're watching what sells. It's stick shifts, it's natural aspiration, it's raw, tactile cars that make you feel alive, that actually make you hear things and enjoy the spirit of driving. Those are the cars that are now worth ridiculous amounts of money. I mean, if you told me that a 993 Carrera S would be $400,000 one day, I would tell you you were out of your mind. But the reason for that is because you can't get this anymore. They are finite and no one's bringing them back. So what baffles me is that a company, for example, like Ferrari, why is not Ferrari building some special, in the vein of an SP2, SP3, whatever? Why aren't they building some sort of coach-built manual V8 car that maybe they sell for $3-4 million? People would buy it. Porsche should be doing this. And I'm not saying I want a bunch of $3-4 million cars, but obviously there's a very wealthy market who will pay big money for stuff like this. And it's what we want. Anyway, this one is outfitted with the sports seats. I incorrectly, on that silver 4,500 mile example, the 98, incorrectly said those were the sports seats. They are not. They are the comfy seats. These, with these cool seat backs. Look at this. That's gorgeous with the Porsche on the back. I love it. That's great. And then let me just show you up front, because one of my favorite things about this car, for some of you youngsters, you might not know what this is. No, I'm just being mean. That is a CD changer. And what I like about this CD changer is, I hope I'm not blowing up the spot of the owner of the car that we're selling this for, but I gotta say, I respect the taste. We've got Weezer. We've got the Smashing Pumpkins. We've got David Bowie. I mean, come on. This is exactly what you want to be listening to in your Carrera S. So lots of respect to the owner of this car, because you have good taste. But we don't need to listen to any of that today, because we are going to be listening to this engine. So I did start this video with this spoiler up. I don't think it looks that good. Maybe I'm alone in that. And the hood struts are definitely fresh on this one. So that's great. But let's put a plate on it. I figure we'll do a little therapy drive rather than a full review, just because I've already done the review. I've said what I said. You know I like this car. You know this is good. And they're actually just so comfortable and easy to run. This is a serious sports car, but it's also an incredibly reliable, soft, comfortable, cozy bank vault doors daily driver. I mean, it just works. So let's jump in. These sports seats are incredibly tight. Maybe it's because I've been hitting the gym, but boy, my lats are touching these right here. Okay, so let's get it started. See, it doesn't start because I forgot to hit the immobilizer button. Try that one more time. Not that I should be teaching you how to steal one of these, but that's the situation. All right, put this guy down. And it's funny because you can't see that operate at all from inside the car. It is so nice to feel a clutch, you know what, period. It is so nice to feel a clutch. The fact that it has a clutch at all, the fact that this clutch is tactile and I can actually tell where that bite point is, it all just flows. And like owning a car like this, is definitely out of my wheelhouse price-wise, but owning any car from like the 90s is going to have a little bit of nostalgia vibes. And this is the thing, I almost made a rule for myself recently where I was like, you know what, maybe I'll only buy cars that have physical keys, because that would then keep me in an era where I was driving raw vehicles. No fobs. Not to mention the fact that now automakers, these are huge stories, but like they're just getting buried because the world is inundated with insanity and corruption every single day. So what should have been massive news about automakers stealing your data, selling your data, is just like a blip, and nobody's like, it just doesn't feel like anyone's doing anything about it. It just feels like, oh, they'll get like a slap on a wrist and a fine, and then they'll continue doing it. And look, I will not even plug in an OBD2 thing from my insurance company. That's a huge no-no to me. I do not want to be watched. I know, I'm a YouTuber. I want you to watch me, but that's not in my private time. I do not want to be observed by the government. I do not want to be observed by auto manufacturers, and I don't want to pay auto manufacturers $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 for a car, then to be used for my data. That is infuriating. And I just think that like we've almost gone too far in the sense of getting so worked up about saving the manuals. How about we save our privacy along the way? We have more issues to fight. You know, I went into this thinking I wasn't going to have anything to talk about, but I sure do. All right, let's do a little pull, and then we will put these windows up. Looks like it's going to drizzle on us. I feel like we're going to get stuck here. It's incredible when you listen to this thing kind of come on cam, or maybe it's that Vario RAM. I don't know. It just like it's almost like a VTEC sound where it opens up. Just listen for this. Hang on, we got to get a little runway line of sight. This is all about respecting the drive, right? You can be an enthusiast, but you can't just bomb around blind corners. You got to take responsibility for your driving. So listen. And another thing, why is everything a damn SUV? Part of it's loopholes, because the thing was, if you needed to meet fuel economy standards and emission standards, it was dependent on the size of the vehicle, essentially. So automakers could get away with not having to improve their technology with engines by just putting those engines in bigger cars. So suddenly, if you needed to get 45 miles per gallon out of your little tiny sedan, well, you just build it in a CUV, and now you only need to get like 22 miles per gallon or something. You know, I don't know all the numbers, but you get the idea. You understand. You're not stupid. They haven't pulled the wool over your eyes. Little close, buddy. I didn't like that at all. At all. If you're passing a cyclist, dude, if you're passing a cyclist and it's on your side, you got to be the one to wait. You don't go head on with a 993. Oh my God. That was just insane moves. So how are you guys holding up? Can you afford to live? Are your dreams of home ownership or car ownership, or maybe your second car or your project car, like dwindling? Are you able to afford the track stuff? I mean, dude, even this season, we're starting to see reports that oil, just motor oil, is going to be in limited supply. It's obviously going to get more expensive, but are we even going to be able to find it? Are you going to be able to get motor oil just to run your car? These are some major problems. Like, if you extrapolate this, and I think that's a little doomsday and I'm going a little far, but like, what if they just ran out of motor oil? Like, you're not going to just destroy your engine, are you? And there's not really any other substitute. You can't use something else. You've got to have motor oil for your motor. If you run out of gas, obviously you're done. Game over. And I always wondered, like, what happens to the car market, the auction market? I know this is, again, hypothetical and crazy and hopefully never ever in a million years going to happen. But like, what would happen if suddenly they were like, yes, sorry, no gas. Like there's just like a major gas shortage. Gas goes to $50, $100 a gallon. Are cars free now? Or are they just like completely valueless? Because it's like having electric cars but no batteries. So what happens then? And I know a lot of like horrible things in the world would occur if that were to happen, so it wouldn't simply just be this isolated thing about the car. But, see, watch. What I'm gonna do is there's someone in the road. I'm not gonna go head on with this car because I need to move around her. I'm just gonna wait my turn like a normal person. Oh. I don't know about you, but I have noticed people driving like complete psychos lately. I've seen more shoulder passes on the highways during traffic. I actually saw a guy get pulled over today. It was so satisfying, but I'm in a press car, so I don't have my dash cam to prove this, but just hear me out. I get on the highway in the left lane, tailgating the heck out of this Jetta, who was reasonably driving, like they were still passing traffic. Flashing their high beams, right? And then I get on the highway and I'm observing all of this. I'm thinking, what a jerk. Undercover Ford Escape state trooper takes him down. And it was just really satisfying to see that, because while I'm all for reducing speed limits and adding more freedom to like actually drive fast without the revenue tax of speeding fines, I do think that aggressive driving is abysmal and miserable and should not be tolerated. I don't equate speed to aggression. Speed can contribute to aggression, but I 100% believe that you can drive 100 miles an hour non-aggressively. That is something that I know is nuanced for a lot of people, and I know some people just will not agree with me at all on that, but it is the truth, unfortunately, for some of you. I find myself hardly looking forward to anything new coming out. Not because there's nothing good. I mean, of course I would love a GT3, but a GT3 costs over $220,000 as a base price. So I don't want to get all frothy about it and excited, riling myself up for some car that I just absolutely can't afford or justify in my garage. When we should be making sort of $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 sports cars for people who work really hard, who have normal jobs, who either need a daily driver that they're gonna commit to as a sports car, or maybe a luxurious second car that isn't 200 grand. I mean, that wasn't crazy not so long ago, and it feels like it's just getting to the point where that completely doesn't exist for a middle-class person anymore, and it's a real bummer. But everything has to have some insane business case, and I understand you gotta make money, but we've penny pinched and trimmed down every ounce of these cars to cost less. There is not a switch, a button, a square inch of your vehicle that has not been penny pinched to the nth degree, negotiated, or they send a factory somewhere else because, well, China got too expensive, so now that's getting made in Vietnam. I would love it. I would love it if margins were not the only goal, if shareholder value was not the only goal of an automaker, and making a great product was. Because when shareholder value is not the only promise an automaker is making, you end up with a product kind of like this. And here's the thing, I fully understand that the other side of that argument is like, well, okay, 993 era Porsche was basically about to fail. They had to come out with, 996 Cayenne Boxster to save the company. And I get it, but there has to be some middle ground of manufacturing great cars, pleasing shareholders and pleasing customers with well-built, robust, reliable cars that are enjoyable to drive, and not just appliances with screens. Oh my goodness. So we're driving through Walden Pond right now. Walden Pond, as you know, of Henry David Thoreau fame, is a wonderful natural resource here. People go swimming, they go fish. I think they can fish. It's a big kettle pond. It's fantastic. And there's hiking trails, and we maintain it. It's beautiful. Now, is there like some massive business case for this type of preservation? I don't know, but I don't care. Why do we need a business case for everything good? Why can't things just be good and enjoy them? And it's like worth spending money on things you enjoy. So no, we're not going 100 miles an hour, we're going 100 kilometers per hour. I think that we in our day-to-day lives do a lot of things for ourselves that don't necessarily have a business case. Maybe it's adding guac on your Chipotle bowl. Not sponsored. Maybe you go and get a massage. Maybe you buy a piece of clothing that's like a little expensive, but you just like it. Maybe you buy a knick-knack on vacation. There's no business case for this, but it makes you feel good. Maybe you have a cocktail. Sometimes these are even negative business cases. Like if you're drinking a lot, like spending money on alcohol is not going to help you any. That's probably just going to cost you more money and health in the long run. But okay, let's see. We're forced to pass you on the right because you don't have lane etiquette. But it feels as though automakers a lot of times won't do anything that doesn't have a very specific, a massive or certain level of return on investment. And I just wish that like we could concede some of those margins for the betterment of cars. RSK is an excellent plate and should belong on a very, very, very expensive Porsche. I'll end it with this. When I was growing up, it was very rare to see a supercar. It was very rare to see a Ferrari or even a Porsche where I lived. But what I always thought was, what's next? What's coming next? Because I can remember being at my small town had a country fair every summer. And I remember once seeing a Ferrari F355 parked on the side of the road, and I looked inside and I saw a 200 mile per hour speedo, and I saw the gated manual shifter. I mean, I just couldn't believe what I was looking at. And I always thought, like, wow, when I'm older, they're gonna have even cooler versions of this that I'm gonna want even more than this. And that is not the case. And it's the case almost entirely across the board. The two like newish cars I've purchased have been a Honda Civic Type R, which I think is kind of like the end of an era, the pinnacle of what you can do with that kind of platform and a turbocharged 4-cylinder. And also a GX460 with a V8. Like, that car's been in existence for 20 years basically. There's one right there. Speak of the devil, Nori Green, looking good. But I bought that because I knew I didn't want the next one. And I'm bummed out that we're now basically forcing ourselves to buy things because the next one probably won't be better. And I know you felt that. I know I'm not the only one who has that opinion. That's not right. The things that are coming out should always be better than the things that came before it, in like every way. So anyway, I am gonna go bring this gorgeous 993 Carrera S back to Bond Group. Again, this is not a review of this car. This is just a drive in this car. But please, if you'd like to see a review, I reviewed one very recently. It's silver, it's gorgeous, and it's cost way too much money. And I'm like thrilled that I've been able to experience these cars. This is a car that I have been wanting to drive, a Carrera S, for so many years. And then suddenly, two pop up in my lap right at once. When it rains, it pours. 993 Carrera S's. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and please be respectful. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one.